In many parts of Southern California, we have become accustomed to living in close but not necessarily comfortable contact with the animals who were here long before developers decided to change the natural landscape. Bears, for example, are not an uncommon sight near our foothill communities, and some mountain lions, especially the one known as P22, have achieved celebrity status. But coyotes, who live in closer proximity to us than bears or mountain lions, they rarely generate any human reaction except, how do we get rid of them? There are lessons we can learn from our coyote neighbors and our efforts, such as they are, to live and let live. Speaking of education, this was Teacher Appreciation Week across the nation. It's a time not so much to bring teacher an apple, but to let her or him know how much we value all their contributions to our lives. So what connects today's very different Midday Sunday topics? Well, there is a well-known but unattributed quote that says, "The hardest thing to teach is how to care." Good Sunday morning, everybody. About 14 minutes from now, we will be talking with a couple of LAUSD's finest when we talk about Teacher Appreciation Week. But for now, Randi Feilich is with us. You are with Project Coyote. There are plans, once again, as I was mentioning to you earlier, the first time I did a Midday Sunday episode about 26 years ago, it was about coyotes. The plan that time was to poison them all and rid the place. But there's another plan yet again.
Right. As we are evolving and as people have more information readily available, people are shifting from fear to education. And what that's doing now is it's empowering people and it's enlightening people that you can coexist with your neighbors. If you move and you want to live in Malibu where it's beautiful, or you want to live in Calabasas, or you want to live anywhere along open space, you can now have a good coyote management plan to exist along with wildlife.
Just really quickly, how much have coyotes penetrated into, let's say, the greater Los Angeles area? I know that I have personally seen, for example, coyotes in the highlands of Beverly Hills, for example. They're all around Griffith Park, on and on and on. We even have coyotes down in Orange County and some of the beach communities. They are literally among us.
Well, unlike the U.S. Census, there is no census on how many coyotes are actually out there. We are able to obtain our information and our studies from the National Park Service whenever a coyote is found, and usually it's because they're found dead because of either anticoagulant rodenticide, which is another topic, or that's rat poison, or they're found just because they've been hit by a car.
Yeah. Why should we preserve coyotes in our neighborhoods, in our areas?
Well, coyotes are probably the most misunderstood predator that is out there. The reason why they're so important to our environment is they keep our ecosystems in check. And when we talk about ecosystems, we're talking about the balance. It keeps the mesocarnivores in check as far as, raccoons and skunks and gophers. And it also keeps the rat population in check. Nobody wants the rats, yet nobody wants the coyotes. Well, guess what? I mean, there's certain ways to get rid of rats, and that's coyotes. Or, of course, you could put a barn box on your roof for an owl, of course.
Yeah, which dubious value. But the thing that always annoys people the most is when a coyote, doing what it naturally does, grabs Rover or Fifi and takes off.
Yeah. No, and I'm sympathetic. As an owner of a pet, I am very sympathetic to the plight of people that have lost their pets to coyote attacks. And one thing that a person who has an animal can do is take responsibility for it. What does that mean? That means bringing the pet bowls and the pet in at night. From dusk to dawn, that's a whole nother neighborhood out there. And be careful of your pet. Shut the, if you have a pet door, shut that pet door. Don't feed your pets outside. Things as far as right here.
As long as we have them.
Okay.
So we have this contraption.
Okay. So basically, if you turn it around.
Let's see, actually we're going to.
Yeah, you can turn it around this way. There we go. This is a fence line. This is a coyote roller. And we don't, anecdotally, we heard that they're very good. Basically, a coyote would jump to your fence, and it would try to rebound, and it can't get over it.
Oh, yeah, because this is spinning, you can't get a hold of it.
Yes, and a lot of people can find this online from coyoteroller.com. We don't endorse it. A lot of people are making inexpensive imitations of this, which they do with PVC piping.
Okay.
And
There's another, I guess you would call this a deterrent.
yes.
The scarecrow.
A scarecrow. A scarecrow is actually you just attach it to a hose, and it's motion-activated animal deterrent because it'll get a spritz of water.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but this is not only for coyotes, but in this case we have a deer.
A deer?
Here.
Anything. I mean, if you're...
It's a motion sensor.
Exactly.
And then when it senses that, then it starts spitting water around.
Right. And it reacts just like a light sensor.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. But then there's also, this is not so much a deterrent as it is a way to preserve or keep the birds from being gobbled up?
Actually, what this is this was my hummingbird feeder and bird feeder. And I had to, when I learned about coyotes and, what attracts coyotes to your neighborhood and to your yards, I had to take it down personally myself, even though I loved seeing the birds come at night. But what happens is birds come, they drop the seed on the ground, and what happens is the rats at night will come, swing from here, eating it, also go to the ground to eat it, and that brings in the predators such as a coyote. So if you remove the food source, most likely you will remove the coyote.
So the concern is not that the coyotes are going to eat the birds, the concern is that coyotes are going to eat the rodents who are going after the bird.
Right, it's an attractant.
Yeah.
And the same thing that's an attractant would be fallen fruit. So I don't know if you have any fruit trees, Tony, in your yard, but if you have, let's say, persimmon trees or avocado trees or plum trees, they love fruit.
Yeah, all wild, it seems like all wild animals love avocados. The bears, for example, and the mountain lions. The zoologists all talk to us about how much they love avocados. So you're out for a walk. You're maybe out for a walk with one of your children, maybe in a stroller. It's in the evening, and you happen to see a coyote up ahead. What does one do?
Okay. I mean, that's a very good question because as the weather is getting warmer now and we're into May, people are out for a walk. What you want to do is, and it depends upon the neighborhood you live in. I mean, if you're walking through, a mid-city area where there's very little coyotes, you don't really need this. But in my neighborhood, even our city manager in the city of Calabasas, he walks with a golf club. And he does that, and I see people in my own neighborhood walking with sticks or bats. And it might look a little odd at first, but everybody's come to realize that they just carry that as a deterrent. So if a coyote was to come towards you, and most likely a coyote is not going to approach you. Right. Because coyotes are naturally fearful and weary of humans. Yeah,
in my neighborhood we have coyotes all the time. I see them almost every day in the evening. And when they see us, it's practically to the point where if they could, they would probably wave. But everybody gets along. Yeah. They go off and hide. We are okay here, but the drought, has that made coyotes more desperate? Are they coming down further into our neighborhoods?
Yeah, as we've seen in the news media lately, there's been a lot more coyote sightings and fear regarding them, and that's because the drier climates, the drought that that California is in right now, they're coming down, and what they'll do is they'll come down to any type of water source. They'll come down to your swimming pool. We're getting reports of them actually, jumping somebody's fence into their backyard.
That's when you buy this thing.
That's when you buy that, exactly. Okay. And they are coming, and so not only is it a good thing to cover your pool for the drought because it'll save water, but if you can't afford a pool cover, it would be good also just as a deterrent for a coyote.
Yeah. We've talked about making sure that the dogs and the cats and so on are in at night, but also in this same scenario about going for a walk, I've covered some situations where coyotes seem to be lurking around small children. That's also I suppose that they would attack there as well if they felt that they could get away with it?
Coyote attacks on humans are very, very rare. And the cases that we have studied at Project Coyote have been involving people that were feeding the coyotes. Like a baby would go outside and they were holding some type of food to feed the coyotes, and that's when they are attacked. Most likely, coyotes would never come over to humans. And the only time they come over to humans is if they're habituated, where they're used to, like you said, they're used to somebody feeding it, like was the case in Seal Beach, where the people down in that community were feeding the coyotes, and then the coyotes came back. And so as long as you keep them wild, that's the slogan from the California Fish and Game, keep them wild. Do not feed them. Don't try to
they know how to find their own food.
Engage with you, engage with them, etc.
Yeah, okay.
we appreciate you being with us.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure being here, Tony, and thank you for inviting us in.
Sure, of course, of course. And when we come back right after this break, we'll have some information on how people can get in touch with you.
Excellent.
And the
Thank you,
organization.
Tony.
So stay with us. About 2 minutes from now, we'll have that information for you. Stand by. So relax.